All right. We are live. We're gonna have a special panel today. I was driving this morning, Ellie. With me is Ellie. This is MLH, and we're gonna have a special panel today. But rather than deal with all the snow on the ground that we have and do my normal one, I thought we would do a special panel um, with some Canadian friends of ours. Um, so that way we can talk about the Canadian convoys. Let me give What's Truth a link here, and I'm waiting for Ash.
Hold on, I'm putting his email in the private chat for you.
All right, let me invite. Let's see where. Oh, there's the invite button. Okay, here we go. Let me copy that. I know this is scintillating right here, but let me just get this sent off to. Okay, What's Truth is. I just sent What's Truth the link. Let's get a shame Canadian. Here's a shame Canadian. Let me reply to him and paste that. And there we go. You guys now have the link, and hopefully we will get them on in here really quickly. But welcome to Alan B, to KCAT. Been going on for almost 3 weeks. Yes. So we are going to have some special guests as soon as they. I just sent the links to A Shame Canadian and What's Truth, our Canadian brothers who have some special insight on the Canadian convoys going on in Canada. Ellie, do you want to give a brief overview of what's going on in Canada?
Well, strange and unusual. Just actually put a comment in chat that I wanted to read. That said, I'm still very unfamiliar with what freedom convoys are, and what's truth and a shame Canadian. I think would be best answering that question. But I will give you what I understand it is. Some people are under the false impression that it is about people who are against vaccines. And that could not be farther from the truth.
Right.
What it actually is, hi, Shame Love. What it actually is people want the right to choose for themselves.
Yes.
Instead of being mandated and forced to have a vaccine, have a booster, that truly it is not. Okay. It is not a vaccine. Let's be clear. Okay. But everybody has the right to make their own choice. To mandate and force your children as well goes above and beyond that. You know, wearing the masks, which we know doctors are speaking out against this, that is just not correct. But we're not here to argue with whether you should or should not get vaccinated, because that's truly your own personal decision.
Right.
Okay.
We've had our discussions, Ellie,
Right.
on
And
the
everybody can, respectfully agree to disagree. The
right.
problem is when the government gets to come in and say, you, vaccinate it now. You're
Yeah.
not, you don't get the right to eat. You don't get the right to go into the stores. You can't go into restaurants. Your children cannot go to schools. When does it stop where the government gets to control?
Right.
Is it where they say, okay, 9:15, lights out, everybody in bed?
Right.
When does it stop? So this freedom convoy, the way I see it, is about us taking a stand and
Mhm.
saying enough is enough.
Yes, yes. Let me acknowledge everybody that's in chat so far, and then I will introduce our guest for this panel, Alan B. Nice to see you in there. KCAT, Strange and Unusual. We all know and love him as Trolliosis, my editor. Angel, what is up? Harry Nova, Jim Busby. Thank you for showing up to the chat. I'm sure there will be more people as we go along. And I do invite everybody to share the panel because I think the 1A community needs a wake up call. On the panel, we have, of course, the lovely Ellie, my co host for this lovely panel. We have What's Truth? Hello, sir.
How you doing, everybody?
And we have everybody's one of everybody's favorite Canadians, a shame Canadian. Welcome to the panel, sir.
What's up, guys? Thanks for having me.
Yes.
Absolutely. An awesome job today. What's truth? And your son and family, absolutely adorable. But to see how excited your son was literally had me crying today.
Yeah.
On truly, he understood it, even though he's young, he got it. And he was so excited to be part of it and to support those truckers. And it was just beautiful.
Yeah. Mood Pictures.
Thank
What's
you.
up? Nice to have you in there.
Thank you. Thank you.
Let's talk about that. What's truth? You were there out there this morning. Canada's watching also is in Chad. Welcome, Canada. All of our Canadian friends, welcome, as well as our American brothers. What's truth? Let's talk a little bit about what you were doing out there this morning. I didn't get a chance to listen. I was watching. I was on a different panel. Can you talk to us about what you were doing out there this morning?
Okay. So um, I'll start from the beginning. We found out a few days ago that there was a huge convoy that was leaving from the Lickman overpass in Chilliwack. It was going to 176th Street in Surrey, British Columbia, to the border, where we have a huge, guys, blockade that's happening right now. I know the news only says a couple dozen, but there is hundreds out there, folks, hundreds and hundreds. Today we went down. I took the kids. Okay, guys. So we have been proud to say for the last 10 years that we have stepped out of the norm. We have homeschooled every one of our 8 children, and they have suffered the most in this whole pandemic. See, I'm used to segregation. I'm used to being put out on the fringes of society, but my children aren't. And since this has gone down, they have lost so much. They were so active in taekwondo and dance class, and they went out with other homeschool groups to do things. We were having parties in the field next door, and all that came to a crashing halt for my children. And they really, really, really feel this. So, over the last few years, we made sure that we kept them all up to date on their Charter of Freedom and Rights that we have here in Canada. They are very excited to stand up for their freedoms. They are very excited to speak their minds and to stand out on the side of the highway and honk them horns. My son was so proud, and I hope that in the future that my children, my 8 children, I have a big family, guys, and I hope that my 8 children will be able to look back and say, my father didn't sit around and do nothing. My
Yeah.
father went out there and was active and got to know everybody in these convoys. These convoys are so peaceful, guys. Did you see me put it to fake news, guys? Did you see me
Oh
put
my
it to
God, that
fake?
was beautiful. That was beautiful. He was running from you.
At the end, the Global News reporter actually came up to my van, Ellie, and started snapping photographs of my license plate.
Yeah, I saw that.
So, I mean, we were peaceful. I was super peaceful. I ended up just standing there with my arms in the air with two peace signs facing his camera because there was really nothing else I could do. He wanted me to be angry, see? And I am so easy to get upset, but through this pandemic, that's one thing I've learned is how to control myself because that's what they want. They want us freaking out. They want us telling fake news off. They want to be able to say, look, 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 see, see, see.
Well, they right.
So,
They want to control the narrative. That's
yeah,
what the lamestream definitely wants. I mean, this is something I think as a 1A community we can all agree upon. I wanted to kind of so to say bridge the gap. We always talk about bridging the gap with the cops. I want to actually bridge the gap between uh, Canada and the United States because there are a plethora of people that absolutely do not know how important or why this is going on. Because if you watch the lamestream media here in the United States, they give it very little coverage. They're more interested in covering what the hell Trump is doing with his toilets, or what Joe Biden is saying, or about the Ukraine. They're doing everything in their power to avoid the topic. So it's up to people like myself and other people on panels on YouTube to basically give people the real cold hard truth, right? The facts. And like we were saying earlier, this is definitely not about whether or not you agree or disagree with vaccines. That is not the conversation that is going on right now. The conversation is definitely with how much is enough. And the Canadians are definitely, you guys are definitely proving that you guys have had enough. It is not a fringe minority of people. There is a good chunk. I wouldn't say the majority, because the majority aren't out there putting their trucks or their voices out in the ether. But there is a good chunk of people. I believe in the millions now. 1 or 2 million people that are saying enough is enough. Am I off base, Ashamed Canadian?
Oh, I believe it's a lot more than 1 or 2 million. We're a country of 38 million.
Yes.
And I've seen, as I've been going through all these different streams from Vancouver to Halifax, I'm seeing millions and millions. I would say maybe upwards to 8 million people supporting this.
Yeah.
Look at the GoFundMe. Um, the amount of support they were getting from them. And a lot of those were Canadians. Look at all the Canadians that are going to Ottawa right now and bringing food and supplies and stuff like that. We're talking hundreds of thousands of people that are going through there probably every couple of days. There is a steady stream of people that are going through there and supporting. So I would say closer between 6 to 8 million people.
Yeah, I mean, I look, I am ignorant to how many people are actually. I mean, I made an educated guess just based on
Yep.
the amount of people that I've seen in the streets. The literal hundreds of thousands of people in Ontario, but I'm sure it's way more. I mean, they're never going to report on the true number, right? It's always
No.
going to be what Justin Trudeau said, right? That's the narrative, a fringe minority of
Yeah.
people, which is a ludicrous thing to say. Now, I'm curious to hear from Canadians. How do you feel about because I always felt that as a world leader, whether you're president, prime minister, the ability to bring people together is really what people should be looking at. And I, as an American, on the outside looking in at what Justin Trudeau said, I thought his comments were very divisive. Am I off base on that?
Well, when he calls his own people terrorists in that,
Yes.
and coming out and saying that he does not support stuff like this, but he was a very proud supporter of Black Lives Matter.
That's right, Ashamed.
Somebody has their YouTube open.
Yeah, somebody has YouTube open, guys. Sorry.
Not me.
So there was more destruction and fires and assaults and everything going on during Black Lives Matter, and he wants to support stuff like that. But we got people that are dancing in the street instead of fighting with people. They're all coming together, every nationality, every race, creed, religion. They're all there together in unity.
And
All
can I
across
make a point
Canada.
on that too? Is honestly, I think the United States has a lot to learn from watching this protest and how it should be done. And I know that the convoy's coming to DC, and I truly hope that we can make you guys just as proud as you have made us, because it's inspiring. It's truly inspiring to see every area of Canada that is doing these protests are doing it peacefully. Not one looting, not one fire, not one car being destroyed.
Right.
It is absolutely commendable. And we need to learn a lot from you guys on how to do a protest, truly.
And did you see the narrative that the police were putting out about all these arrests that they made and that? Do you know that 90% of the arrests that they made were people bringing fuel to supply the truckers?
Yes. And that's
Or honking a horn, which I saw that poor 80-year-old man getting
you seen
arrested
that
because he
video I
honked his
did?
horn, and
Yeah.
you throw him up, you twist his arm and throw him up against the van, and he just complied. He just
Yeah.
complied, and I can't. It
Let
just
me
it broke my heart,
let me
to see that.
can I ask you guys a question specifically about those arrests, right? I've been seeing, I mean, actually I have not been seeing a lot of video because apparently they've shut off the cell tower so nobody can really show in real time what's going on there. So,
Then you have to watch Tiffany Epiphany's channel and
right.
watch Screw's channel, because I've stayed tuned to those along with Zot's. I mean, there's several that, I mean, I watch it almost 24/7.
Right.
So the links are out there, and I'll put some of them in the chat if you'd like in a little bit as well.
Right.
And there's a couple of big ones that are out there that's been covering this, like basically from the beginning, that's been doing like 15, 18-hour live streams going through there all the time. Travel Fund 69. If you check him out, that guy gained over 6,000 subscribers just over this.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, he's reaching 10, 15,000 people in his live streams.
hmm
Um,
and it's only going to grow from there. The specific question I wanted to ask you guys: are any of these charges going to stick? Because as far as I can tell, these were made up bullshit, like quote unquote laws or statutes or ordinances that they're coming up on the fly, right? I mean, it's unheard of to come up with something that's saying that you cannot give somebody fuel. I mean, these people. I mean, the temperatures in Ontario weren't like in the mid 60s or something. I mean, we're talking like 0 degree temperatures, right? I mean, this was trying to keep people alive. It reminds me a lot of the way that the United States has handled the humanitarian crisis at the southern border that we have here with the quote unquote Mexicans, which it could be any variety of people that are trying to seek asylum or enter the country or whatever. These people that were bringing simple water, something that we all need to live. I mean, they were arresting people for the simple act of giving water to another human being, which I find disgusting. Whether or not you agree or disagree with immigration in this country, I think the point still stands. This is kind of the same thing. Getting arrested for bringing food, water, and fuel to people that absolutely need it. Can you guys speak on that? Whether or not you think that these charges are going to stick?
Oh, absolutely not. They all that fuel that they confiscated. It was proven right away that they couldn't confiscate it, and then they had to give it back. But what the mainstream media is not telling you, and if you go and you research this, you can find it out there, that all the fuel that they gave them back was all contaminated.
Yes,
They mixed it with water.
with water, so they couldn't use it.
Yeah, so there was like something like 6,000 or 7,000 liters of fuel that they confiscated at $1.50 a liter. You're looking at almost $10,000 worth of fuel right there.
Yeah.
That's destruction of property over $5,000. That's an indictable offense here in Canada, which is the same as a felony in the States.
Yeah.
But they'll never even be held accountable for it.
Right, because it's on the opposite end. If it were an individual, that person would be in jail for years.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Heather says, I want to get Heather's point in here. She said someone got arrested for carrying the flag. I did see that, and
Yes.
that's I mean, that's as I mean, here in the United States, I would say that's as un-American as it can get. I'm sure it's the same thing in Canada, right? I mean, you have a love of your country, you're carrying around a flag, and you get arrested for freedom of speech.
So I would love.
Mhm.
Go ahead, Ash.
I was just about to say, how about getting arrested for a cop running into your vehicle and you try to move out of the way and then he runs into you again and then you get arrested, thrown on the ground for it, saying that you ran into him, and it was all on a live stream.
Yeah, I think I saw that one too.
So what I'm concerned about here, guys, serious concern, is that we need to see the bigger picture here. It is full-blown communism taking over both of our countries.
Yeah.
That's what this is. We need to fight. I hope Ashamed and Mexican long hair. I hope that everybody that gets charged has them thrown out. But I also fear that if we lose this fight, guys, this is it, man. And they won't drop the charges, and they're calling for some serious time, guys. 2 years plus $100,000 fine.
Yeah.
So, in all honesty, I hope the charges all get dropped, guys. But I fear that our country is going so far communist that they might not. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, it's I don't know if we can go that far yet, what's truth, but I think your point is definitely well taken. I mean, they're doing the same thing here. And this is why I wanted to have this panel. I mean, not only did I not want to drive in the snow today and do my usual run, but I knew this Canadian convoy story, and that's what it is. It's a definite story. I knew it's super important for the United States as a whole, and it's super important for the First Amendment, and that's why that I really wanted to have you guys on here to talk about how this correlates to the First Amendment movement here in the United States, because like you said, what's truth? I mean, it's becoming more and more apparent that the freedoms that you guys have up there are being stomped on in real time, especially with these, these arrests and, carrying around a flag and honking your horn, which I didn't know was a super egregious thing that could include jail time. I just don't understand the whole point of that.
Well, and Canada is watching, put a comment in chat that I want to read that's extremely important. He said, if it were not for the YouTube streamers, nobody would know the real truth.
Right.
And that could not be more of a 100% accurate statement, because what you're hearing on the media is not what's happening out there. They're not stealing food from the homeless. They're doing the total opposite. The homeless people are making comments that they're actually gaining weight. They have never eaten so good. It is everybody coming together. They're not charging for a single thing. Everything is free there. Everything.
There's donation bins in that around. That's it. They just ask if you can donate. If not, everything's free.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because so much of it's coming. If you're a struggling family right now in the Ottawa area and you need to feed your kids and that you need food, if you go down to these guys and there's food there for you to take home. Yeah. They have an abundance of food there for people. It's very supportive. It's like an open food bank.
Yeah.
A perfect example of why I needed to be there today was you guys witnessed with your own eyeballs the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people that were there. As soon as me and my wife hopped in the van, I cranked on the CBC to listen to their hourly update, and they no word of a lie claimed dozens of people showed up today in Chilliwack. Dozens. They said.
It was over an hour. What's truth? Just to watch the convoy leave.
Yeah, it was over an hour and a half.
From once they started, just watching one go after another, and the horn honking. It was incredible. It was incredible.
There's one right now in Nova Scotia going on. I've been trying to get the feed for it, but
I made a point the other day. I think it was on Tiffany's channel. What's truth about the horn honking in general, right? Am I right in my assumption that if you honk your horn, which I thought was like a way of letting people avoid getting in an accident, or at least having a chance to avoid getting an accident, honking a horn is now an offense in Ottawa, correct?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Now this is a temporary thing. I heard it was like 11 days, which I don't.
10 days. 10 days. On the 11th day, it's no longer illegal for now. That could change.
Ellie knows. Ellie knows what's up.
But what they got wrong was it was a moratorium on the horn honking from all the truckers because of the air horns that they use, which are 10 times louder than a normal vehicle. It said nothing about the normal vehicles. Okay. It said about the truckers.
But they included it.
Right.
The police included that.
Right.
When they arrested that 80-year-old man, threw him to the ground, twisted his arm, threw him up against the van. It was unbelievable. And then marched him off into their police vehicle to be arrested. This 80-year-old man who only wanted to show his love for his country.
And then they say that they were going to charge him in that. And you know what they did? They gave him an Ontario highway traffic offense of excessive noise ticket. And it was $110 fine. And then released him bloodied and everything. Right there.
And you would think that then there should be a class action lawsuit against every manufacturer for vehicles for selling you a vehicle with such a product that would be dangerous to have in your vehicle.
Right.
That's what I mentioned in one of my videos. I said, well, I guess now all the vehicles, General Motors, Ford, Dodge, all the major vehicle manufacturers will now have to disconnect all their horns for all the dealerships in Ottawa, and that anybody coming into the Ottawa area would have to disengage their horns.
Yeah. I honestly think that all of the truckers should get together and do it all at the same time. They can't arrest everybody, can they? I mean, they don't.
They've been going around giving tickets. They
just pass them out. I think it went from 350 to 1,000 in some areas. Did it not?
Yep.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if they all did it at once, how can they determine who did?
They just go to each truck and pass it on. Yeah, it's revenue. They don't care. Keep doing it. It's revenue.
Right. But how can they determine that person actually honked their horn?
When do the police ever really need to prove
they don't
that they are right?
Right.
They don't.
They tell you,
but
if
in my opinion,
just take it to court.
Yeah, just take it to court, right? I mean, they can't. How can they prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that you honked your horn? I mean, it's not. To me, it's not an enforceable thing. Like here, if that shit happened here in the United States and everybody, I know that lawyers would eat it up. I mean, the lawyers in Canada got to be licking their chops right now, right? I mean, seriously, like it's not really rocket science. If you have 10,000 truckers or however many that are lined up there, like I said, I don't know the exact number. I mean, I've seen estimates, but if all of those truckers at the same time in solidarity honk their horns, I mean, I'm sure they're going to hand out a few tickets, but I just don't see how they can how they can enforce that and actually convict anybody on those charges at all. Like it seems ludicrous on the surface, but I know how the court systems work here in the United States, so I'm sure it's very similar in Canada.
Well, and I find that the problem here is, and I've been saying this for decades, is that we have a justice system here that is not for the people, even though it's supposed to be for the people. And the way that they're doing things is that they just go in, they don't give a shit. You got that terrorist leader there in Ottawa, the chief of police there. He tells his guys to just go out and do whatever the hell they can, arrest people for anything. And he'd even mentioned for spitting on the sidewalk, you can get arrested for right now in Ottawa.
Yeah.
And, he's going out doing this, and he's trying to try to put an impact on people, and they're taking away their rights. But they don't care. That's the thing. As long as they can get those people out of there and make it look like they're doing something, they'll deal with the consequences later, tie up the courts for years, spend millions and millions and millions of dollars on this, when all that money, if they would have learned the law and know shit, if the government would actually stand up and answer us from the beginning, instead of keep putting us off and putting us off and putting us off, and rejecting complaint after complaint after complaint, no matter what point of government we're going through this. Right. I just did a video yesterday in City Hall where you have to have a vaccine passport to talk to anybody in City Hall.
Yeah. A passport to talk to anybody.
You have to show proof of vaccination to talk to anybody in City Hall.
Yeah, that's a definite problem. The Nazis did that in 1940 and 1941 and 1942. Show me your papers type thing. It sounds it sounds very, very militaristic and very, very Nazi-esque to require people to show papers.
And on that note, MLH, I want to share something that I think you know, but other people don't, is that my grandmother was in a concentration camp.
Yeah.
And she shared stories which were very hard and hard for me to even talk about.
Yeah.
But everything she shared is what's happening now.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if people don't wake up, they're going to find out real soon exactly what that's like.
Yeah.
And I don't care who you are and whether you believe in vaccines or not, but we have to respect and love each other to be able to make our own decisions
Yeah.
and our own choices and what's right for our own children.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a definite divide, Ellie, and I've been talking about this for years now, whether it was on the MLH channel or my other channel, and it has to do with politics, right? And I say this quite often on the MLH channel, where in this country we have Democrats and we have Republicans, right? So there's already an automatic divide between people, right? And I don't think that's conducive to getting anything done, or making anybody happy, right? And I know in Canada it's slightly different, but basically it's from what I gather, it's conservative and it's liberal, right? And I can't tell you the number of Canadian streams that I've been in, and it reminds me a lot of the way the United States does things here. You're either liberal or conservative. Why can't you just be Canadian? Why can't you just be American, right? And it's a growing problem with, I mean, everybody has their own mind. Just because you're a conservative doesn't mean that, for instance, that you might not take the vaccine. Or if you're a liberal, it might, I mean, they're just such a divide that I don't see how we can reconcile and go forward, right? There was and I've talked about this on other streams. There was I believe it was an MIT study, 1973, that said society is going to break down somewhere approximately the year 2043, give or take a few years. And I'm beginning more and more to believe that study, right? Harvard University went back to that study and they said their numbers were on point. They looked at socioeconomic factors. They looked at racial factors. They looked at the structure of the country. They all the different countries, and all their data is on point. So are we at the beginning of the end right now? And the way things are going, at least in the United States, and now what I'm seeing in Canada, I'm beginning to think that What's Truth is absolutely correct when he says there's a lot of communistic things that are going on in Canada and the United States right now, and this could be the beginning of the end.
Thank you. Can I speak?
Yes, sorry.
So I'm glad you brought it back to that, Mexican long hair. I'm really glad you brought it back to that, because that's why I see. Okay, so in Canada we have a Charter of Rights and Freedoms. It's a little different than the Constitution. They took our guns a long time ago, but we have the right to travel. We have the right to freedom of speech. We have the right to practice any religion that we want. It kind of ties into what Ellie was saying. Thank you very much for that, Ellie. I have an interview on my TikTok about this lady that was at one of the smaller protests here in Chilliwack, and she was from Hungary, and she sat there and explained to me and my family that she fled communism in Hungary back in the day. Her parents were absolutely harassed and imprisoned by the Hungarian police and government, because they knew they were trying to leave Hungary. And they finally eventually got on a boat and got over here. And she said, the things that we witnessed when communism first started to take over is exactly what's happening now. They're restricting your movements. They're restricting you practicing your religion. They're restricting you from honking your damn horns.
Yeah.
Okay. A letter went around to the leaders down at the Ottawa Convoy at Parliament, and it was a kind of like an olive branch to them, I guess, from the government, from Trudeau. But the Trudeau government was only willing to interview 2 vaccinated truckers at one time. That was it. He didn't acknowledge the unvaccinated in this whole thing. It was crazy the way that he had set up this meeting with the truckers. It was bullshit. They rejected it. They are now honking their horns again in Ottawa. And the Ambassador Bridge in Windsor, breaking news. I mean, this is just happening today, is being shut down by the police and people are being arrested. We seen Trudeau last night yesterday announce that you better get your children out of these protests because they know what's coming. They're going to violate more rights. It is absolutely communistic. Absolutely. Because Trudeau was trained. He's a trained Marxist. We know that Biden is friends with Hillary, who's friends with Obama. They're all little buddies. I mean, Biden was your vice president with Obama. We know that Obama is a trained Marxist, right? We know this. They love Karl Marx. They love communists, So that's why I keep bringing it around to that. It's very important to try to stress that. A lot of people say we're not that far yet. I just say, well, maybe you're right. We're just maybe in the birth pains of it. Do you know what I mean?
Well, that's the point that I'm trying to make there. What's truth is like
Thank you.
I mean, I was looking at the studies, right, that I'd mentioned, and the data couldn't be more on point. It's like if we go at the rate that we're going, I mean, like I talk about division, right? Division is the biggest factor in just destroying a nation, and it seems like both of our governments are hell bent on keeping that divide where it is, right? Nobody wants to think outside of the box and say, you know what, maybe we should do more. And I hate to say this because people get it real twisted, right? Maybe we need to help each other. Maybe we need more social programs, right? Maybe we need to, but the government will never do that, right? The government will never just admit that we need to help the people. It's all about them. I brought this to somebody's attention about the government always like they're never bipartisan when it matters, right? But when it comes to giving themselves raises, oh, but it's always unanimous, right? We got to give ourselves a raise and fuck the people, right? When it comes to minimum wages, when it comes to social programs, like you guys have a distinct advantage over the United States when it comes to healthcare. As shitty as your healthcare might be, I mean, it's better than what we got. I mean, our healthcare is tied to our employment. What if you get fired? What if you change jobs? I mean, you're less likely to do that because of your fucking healthcare. I mean, there's so many issues that keep us divided, that nobody in politics, and I say this all the time, I can't stand Democratic and I can't stand Republican politicians. I love the people of this country. I love the people of this country. I love Republicans. I love Democrats, but I can't stand our politicians, right? And people always have a hard time with me, like, because in this country you're either Democrat or Republican, at least when it matters. So if I say I hate Democrats, I mean the Republicans are up in arms, and if I say I hate Republicans, as far as politicians, the Republicans are like, "What are you talking about? We're on the right side of history. We're," and it's like none of that, right? It's none of that. It's politicians versus the people, and it always has been that way in this country, and always will be until we can throw aside our fucking differences on whether or not you're a fucking Democrat or Republican, conservative, liberal, whatever. And Heather says it in there. I tend to agree. I think parties are just stupid. I don't understand the need for people to choose one side or another. How come we can't all be independent minded thinking and not just go with what people say
and run on your own merit?
Yeah, and run on your own merit. I've said it 100 times. On the panel, Jody, you had some interesting text you wanted to share with us, correct, sir?
Hello, can you hear me pretty good?
Yes, we can
All
hear
right,
you just
cool.
fine.
Hey, Judy.
Hello, everybody. All right.
Hello, Jody.
My friend in Canada, she finally brought this up to me because I haven't said a word to her, but I know she was like the third person in line to get vaccinated. We'll just put it that way. Okay. Now, you do what you do, whatever. But the conversation starts out, what's up with you? So sick of the trucker convoy shit, but they're being moved out today. I said, I'm for the truckers. I've been watching. They had a place set up a few days ago to process the non-compliant people.
I'm sorry, Jody, when was this email sent? How many days ago?
This was just 2 hours ago today via text message.
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
All right. So
Wow.
then she says, I'm not for them. It's really not much to do with vaccinations. It's that supremacy shit, very disturbing.
Yeah.
Supremacy.
And I said, it's not supremacy shit at all. She says, I agree. We should have the freedom to decide what we do with and to our bodies, but they have gone way beyond that. Yes, it goes way beyond vaccinations. Look a little deeper. I said, okay, how is it deeper? She says, look behind the scenes and what the mainstream media is reporting, just fucking scary. Right there, I said, okay, we have a sheep. So then she says, blocking people's movements and closing the border, seriously? Look who's behind funding those idiots. Where were they when the nurses started losing their jobs and for those who weren't vaccinated? And then, now this is the best part, and then attacking and harassing healthcare workers, they can fuck right off.
Wow.
Oh,
Yeah, I know. It gets, yeah.
strikes a nerve being from Canada, I tell you. That strikes a nerve, buddy.
Yeah,
Well-
considering that the Canadian Nurses Union is up there on the hill with them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
exactly.
this is like I said, she's in her ivory tower, total Democrat, just whatever. But I'm like, it shouldn't be Democrat, but it's so you could say almost stereotypical how she thinks. So then in capital letters, I sent back, I said, mainstream media. Have you watched anything on YouTube where the people there are broadcasting live? A guy got arrested while dropping his kids off at school carrying a Canadian flag. He was already trespassed from the school for not wearing a mask.
Yeah.
Then I said, did mainstream media actually explain what the truckers go through to get back into Canada? And she says, not many of them even get asked if they're vaccinated.
Wow.
My friend's husband goes back and forth a couple times a week.
Yeah.
Now,
yeah.
this is where it gets twisted. This is how she thinks, but I still love her. She's my friend, my buddy. And I said, mainstream media scares a lot of people. Her reply to that, no kidding, it does and it should.
Oh wow.
I said, are you kidding?
Wow.
I'm just trying to go along with this, okay?
Yeah.
She says they only report what they want. They rarely report the whole story. So I'm like, wait a minute. You said they should scare us? But then you're saying that they don't report the whole story. I'm like, all right. So then I replied back, really? To scare people rather than state facts. She says propaganda. So I said, right. So much bullshit on the news, they have their own narrative, not facts. Trust me, I'm watching this close. I see both sides of the story.
Mm-hmm.
She says, I hear you, but they've gone way too far. We got the message. Go to fuck home.
You know, there's okay. Let me play devil's advocate, right? And take up her position, even though it puts me in a position I'm not in. But I think the point that she's trying to make is they made their point, which my retort to that is I don't think the point has been taken seriously by the government yet.
Exactly.
I don't think that unless they're hitting the pocketbooks, right? I truly believe the United States is an oligarchy, right? We're run by a bunch of or a few billionaires, right? And the people at the bottom, meaning all of us on this panel and otherwise, are left with fucking crumbs, right? So I think the point that she's trying to make is, well, the point is there. What are they still doing there? To which I say, they need to stay there as long as they can, because they're not getting it right. I heard a news story, again, the lamestream fucking media, that's saying that, and they're trying to scare us, right? That point is correct, but I don't think it's they should try to scare us. Their big thing was, wow, if these Canadian convoys keep going on, the Super Bowl is going to be affected by this. And I'm like, you went there. You mean to tell me that the Super Bowl is more important than what these
And
truckers
freedom.
and freedom is it, right? You mean to tell me the Super Bowl is more important? That's how media gets things twisted, right? And that's why it's up to people like myself, like What's Truth, like a Shame Canadian, to report on this shit, right? We didn't ask for this, but you're fucking getting this because you guys can't fucking report what's going on,
Can
right?
I say something to Jody, though? Jody, I'm really glad that you're friends with this person. I don't know. I think you said it was a female.
Yep.
Because I think you can help educate her. Maybe send her some of the links to some of the channels and let her see for herself. Help educate her, since she's not searching the information out except to watch it on the lamestream media. Let her see what's really happening. Give her the channels and ask her for one day, just to watch them, and then come back to you and tell you that her opinion is the same. Just one day, be her friend and help her, because it's not her fault in the aspect that she's so used to being brainwashed to think that the news is going to tell you the truth. So
Right,
just
right.
kind of help her and guide her.
You know what? I have to give your friend a little more credit. At least she's like thinking the right thing in the wrong context, right? You get a lot of people that only watch Fox News or only watch CNN. You know, it's like it's the stupidest thing in the world to believe any fucking news source, whether it's Fox, fucking NBC, OAN, or any of the fucking lamestream media. They're all fucking lame, right? You're not going to get the truth unless you get the live updates from people like What's Truth, Shame Canadian, Tiffany's Epiphany, all the great channels that actually do reporting, right? When I'm out on these fucking runs, right? People criticize me all the time about just driving around, right? But when I find something interesting, I get out and I actually report on what the fuck is going on, right? If that ain't man on the spot, here's exactly what's going on shit, I don't know what to fucking tell you. I don't keep listening to mainstream media and their fucking narrative, right? They get shit wrong all the time. It's what drives me fucking nuts. Their twist on everything, right?
Good evening, news. It's 6 o'clock, and here's what we want you to think.
Right. I mean, it's so
Exactly.
stupid. That's exactly right. Here's what we want. Back in the day, it used to be three news stations, right? ABC, NBC, and CBS, right? Those were the three reporting bodies of the United States, and they reported fucking facts. It's not that way anymore, right? It's 2022, and now we're relegated to a bunch of opinionated assholes that give their take on things and don't want to tell you the truth for their best interest, right? They're advertisers. Again, goes back to the fucking money, right? What do our advertisers want you to hear on the media? Not what's the truth, you know? It's so dumb. Canada's Watching brings up a government was paid off by big pharma. There's a bunch of special interest, right? The special interests are what run the fucking country. I made the point earlier. We're in an
You know,
Well,
I was saying earlier.
here's a little stat for you. Can you name 3 of the top 10 stocks that the U.S. government owns right now?
I want to say,
I can't.
yeah, I couldn't tell you. Inform us.
YouTube, which is Google,
Right,
Wow.
Pfizer, and Johnson and
Okay.
Johnson.
right,
Wow.
right. Yeah, yeah. I mean, what does that tell you?
Is that not stock manipulation?
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, they shouldn't have any interest in any company as a government. You know what I mean? I mean, I know it's free market, and I hear that shit all the time. Fucking free market, free market. The fucking free markets are killing us. All right. I mean, it just. Well, why do you think these Canadian truckers are? They want to, bring awareness to our freedoms. Right. We're slowly being groped by our governments, and it's time. It's time for the United States, especially, to take notice of what these truckers are actually fucking doing. All right. This is
Yeah.
this is the gap that I want to bridge, right? And this is why it's important to have these type of panels, where we're explaining what's going on in Canada. I mean, for fuck's sake, we just had Strange and Unusual earlier tell us he didn't know what the fuck was going on, right? How
Oh,
how
wow.
could how could he know with our media, right?
Wow.
How could he know? I mean, that's why, you know, bringing the information to people is key, the proper information. It's not about whether or not you want to take a vaccine. We can have that conversation another day. It's about your freedom to choose what you do with your body, right? And the restrictions that are going on are absolutely ridiculous. I've talked about mask mandates quite a bit. I just don't understand the point of mask mandates anymore. They do nothing but pit everybody against each other. I've seen people in stores wear masks, not wear masks. I've seen those stupid videos where people get upset that you're not wearing a mask. But there's really nothing anybody can do. So what is the point of everybody getting upset at each other? If you want to wear a mask, wear a fucking mask. You don't want to wear a mask, don't wear a mask. But don't tell me to wear a mask or not wear a mask, right?
And can I tell you, this is the longest 2 weeks I've ever experienced in my life,
Why is
Oh.
that, Ellie?
because this was supposed to be for 2 weeks, and we're going to narrow the curve and everything's going to be better.
Yeah.
That's been over 2 years now. 2 weeks has lasted 2 years, the longest 14 days. I don't know if each hour is a leap year or what it's supposed to be, but I've never experienced anything like this in my life.
I got so much to say on this, guys. I got so much to talk about.
Oh.
Like,
What's
I want to get a little conspiracy here for a second. I watch just about every live streamer out there. I watch you Ottawa Scotty. I watch Ottawa Walks. I watch Travel Fun 69. I watch Mac John. I watch the little guys. I watch them all, and I watch a lot of these false valor YouTube channels. They go out and they expose people that are claiming false valor, right? So I learn a lot of the behaviors that these people that claim false valor, I learn a lot of their behaviors. And I was watching somebody the other night interview this guy, and I swear to God, guys, he was a cop. The live streamer walked up and started asking him questions about him, and the guy started volunteering all this information about him being in the military, and it just was not adding up at all, right? And I was screaming in the chat, "He's a cop! He's a cop! He's a cop!" But I mean, it's just so crazy down there that how are you supposed to tell? And what better way to, get information as well? I watch some live streamers and they take their cameras and they'll walk right into it, and they'll knock on car windows that have tinted windows and put the camera right in the car to look around and see what's in. And I was thinking, what a better way for the cops to get intel than to send in live streamers, I'm not going to say who or anything. I just want to put it out there, They got so many undercover cops down there, guys, that's causing division amongst us.
Oh,
It's crazy.
absolutely.
It's crazy.
Right.
The
Well,
psyops that's
there's no
happening.
question about that. And the cops are always the agitators, right?
Yeah.
Like Heather made a great point earlier, and I forgot to point this out, but I'm glad I remembered it. Um, nothing ever gets violent until the cops show up, right? Cops show up, they start beating the shit out of people, they start, rattling their batons and agitating, right? They're the agitating force in all of this. And it's no different here in the United States, right? I remember when the Denver Broncos won their first Super Bowl, right? Everybody was having a great time here, right? Denver has been suffering for so long with, going to Super Bowls, getting our ass kicked. Finally, we win a Super Bowl, right? The top of the mountain, right? So everybody's elated. We're all, having fun, drinking a little bit, just just chill, right? All of a sudden, the cops show up, and all hell breaks loose. People start fucking acting a fool, getting up on poles and throwing things and all because the fucking cops agitated it. And I've seen some of these live streams in Canada, and I got to hand it to the Canadians, because if that shit was going on here in the United States, there would have been full blown riots of what's going on up there, with people getting arrested for holding flags, for honking their horn, for fucking, giving somebody water or gas. I mean, it would have
But
been.
here's the difference with that, MLH. Would there have been fires and looting? I have to say, I'm disappointed that as a U.S. citizen, that we can't protest like Canada does.
I agree. I'm 100% in agreement. I mean, we get hit with. I mean, I'm surprised that the cops up there haven't gotten more violent and caused more of a ruckus. I mean, what? I mean,
Oh, you mean during this particular thing here now?
yes.
But trust me, they do get violent.
Yeah.
Look, they weren't too violent, but look at when I was arrested in my bedroom.
Yeah.
I saw that.
I was. They at one point they kicked in my door on a welfare check because I just had a heart attack and I just got out of the hospital. And somebody asked them to check on me. They kick in my door, and as I'm waking up, as they're going out, and I said, "I hope you get shot." Well, they came back in, beat the fucking piss out of me and everything, lied. Like these are the type of cops that we have here.
Yeah.
Lied right on police reports, everything. And this is what I've been trying to expose for almost 40 years here.
Yeah.
And nobody wanted to listen to me. I wouldn't stop. But now, all of a sudden, within the last, I would say maybe 6 months, people are starting to listen to me now and saying, well, I get emails and that, well, why weren't you fighting for our rights before? Why is it we just, I've been doing this for a long fucking time, since 1985, and people don't realize that. I've been trying to tell people for years, if you let them get away with the little things, we won't have our rights, period. We will lose our rights.
Yeah.
Because of, and look what happened. You used to be able to walk down the street, and I remember back in the late 70s, early 80s, people used to want to go up and have their picture taken with a cop.
Yeah.
And police would stand there and have, get your picture taken, everything. Now you pull out a camera and a cop goes fucking berserk. Excuse my French, but
no, you're fine. I agree with that wholeheartedly. I've made the point. I mean, you guys are talking way too much sense, right? I mean, back in the day, policing used to be very dangerous, right? Because the cops weren't afraid of their own fucking shadow back in the day, right? Nowadays, it's a lot different. I mean, policing is, shoot first, ask questions later type of deal. And, I mean, these protests, I mean, like I said, I'm actually really amazed that it hasn't been an all out riot. I think it's because the Canadian people in Ottawa, especially right now, are basically disarming everything with their kindness. I mean, I've seen nothing but respectful people in these live streams, right? I mean, the only disrespect I've seen has come from the police and the government there, right? So, what is it going to take, guys? Like, I'm going to ask the ultimate question here to the Canadians on the panel. Is there an end to this? Is there a way that the government and its people can basically agree that these mask mandates, these vaccine mandates are enough? Is it ever gonna? What's that? What's truth?
Trudy's not budging, is he? Ashamed? He ain't budging one bit, buddy.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, and that's the fear. Like, if you can't at least sit at the table and negotiate, is there really a negotiation, right?
No, yeah, and we have this thing in Parliament that can be evoked. and it's called a vote of non-confidence.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, with this major support across Canada, if they were to bring that up into Parliament, they would get a vote of non-confidence, and Justin Trudeau would be out.
Yeah.
Then there would be a snap election, and then we would, during that time, who's ever sitting there in power at the time, will end up dropping all the vax passport mandates. All these mandates will be dropped then, and then because of that snap election, because they did that, that person who did it will end up back in power. So basically, it'll just be going from Justin Trudeau to another liberal, but the passports will be gone, and that's why I keep putting in everybody's chat. My favorite saying right now in Canada is "Make Canada great, make Trudeau an inmate."
Yeah. Yeah. I was
By
very
the way, I love that Ashamed Canadian, as well as I would like for any milk company listening to please put on all of your milk cartons, one side should be Trudeau and the other side should be Biden. Thank you. I appreciate this. This is my opinion, only my opinion, not those of the channel owner, anybody else on panel, or anybody in chat, just mine.
And mine.
Yeah,
They have
let me make something very, very clear here. In the grand scheme of things, my own personal kind of view of things is more independent, right? I don't like the way that liberals or conservatives handle matters. Let's be perfectly clear here. I believe in the individual, right? I think we all have different opinions, and that's what makes all of us unique and great, right? I don't believe that you should believe in a completely liberal cause. I don't believe you should believe in a complete conservative cause, because there are nuances, right? And that's what people miss when they have to choose between being a quote liberal and a quote conservative, right? There are so many nuances that you miss if you pigeonhole yourself into one party or another. That doesn't mean that there aren't douchebag liberals and there aren't douchebag fucking conservatives. I mean, there are plenty of those all over the place, right? And they're mostly politicians, because the people actually come together on a lot of issues, right? It's the politicians that are the ones that take either the liberal or conservative stance. And here in the United States, it's Democrat or Republican, right? I can't stand any of it. I wish we all could come together as a people's party and have one party, the people, and debate, right? And have spirited debate, whether you're conservative, liberal, libertarian, Democrat, Republican, independent, green. I mean, there are ideas from every walk of life that everybody can get behind and stand behind, right? Whether you're conservative, there like here in the United States, the Republicans have a motto of like less government, more people driven kind of things, and I agree with the motto, but they never follow through. Right? It's the same thing with the Democrats. The Democrats promise social justice and all this type of shit, yet they're the first to vote in favor of fucking giving cops bonuses and raising their fucking wages. Which, how much more money can we give to our oppressors? I mean, it's the same way I feel about their own salaries, right? Like I bring up that point all the time. The salaries are out of control. Let's start thinking about the people. Let's not think about the politics behind everything, right?
Well,
The people are.
I always thought that being in government services should be more of a privilege and an
Yeah,
honor,
right.
not to be unionized and fucking demand shit from the people that you're supposedly serving.
Right.
When we're paying, you think about it. Here in Canada, for instance, we have the Liberal Party, the Conservative Party, the NDP, the Bloc Québécois, um, the Green Party, and now the PPC. which is the People's Party of Canada, and Independents. So we have 7 different people that actually runs for prime minister in Canada during the elections, not like in the States where there's 2.
Right.
And we get a lot of divide because of all of these different groups.
Yeah.
And that's a big problem too, is because, well, you're a liberal or you're a conservative or you're a free thinker or you're a Greenpeace person or you're this, and this is what's happening here in Canada. And we can't get enough people to actually think for themselves that they have to go follow one of these parties.
Right. That's exactly what my point is. Same Canadian, that like let's start following ideals and not the party, right? Like I hate divides, right? Like you said, here in the country, in our country, it's basically 2 parties. I know you have the libertarians and you have independents and a few other fringe little groups that people, but there are ideas, right? The ideals of each party that everybody can get behind, right? Nobody likes racism. At least most people don't like racism, right? I hate it. I'm a Mexican American. I've been through racism from the time I was little all the way till now, and I'm one of my big things is racial equality and getting people to understand that people are people. We all bleed the same. We can all, if we have the same blood type, I can give you my blood and vice versa. Like we're all people, right? I'm a humanitarian in that regard. So I think the whole point of parties is to me worthless. If you're pigeonholed as a Green Party member, for instance, I mean, people automatically think you're a tree hugger and all you want is this specific thing, and it's like, can't you have a mind of your own and think for yourself? Like, why do we have to automatically consider ourselves Democrats or Republicans or liberal or conservative? Like parties are simply meant to divide. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What's truth? If you have an idea about what to do about this convoy, why shouldn't we listen to your voice, right? Why shouldn't there be a representative saying, this is what we want, and go from there? Can we come to an agreement? Can we say that these vaccines might need a bit more testing before we give them to our kids and 300 Canadian kids die, right?
That's all we're asking.
That's the point. That's the whole
Yeah.
point. And that's what people are missing through this whole thing. They're hiding behind white supremacy. All these people are just white supremacists that want to assert their dominance. I've not seen one person in this convoy say anything remotely about racism and we're superior or anything like this. I have not seen one person take up arms. I have not seen one person be violent and say this is the way it's going to be or we're going to do this. Not
MLH, can I read a comment from chat?
Yes, go right ahead.
Canada is watching. I forgot, and I saw this actually. I believe again on Tiffany's, but it could have been What's Truth because I'm there most of the time. Put in, police are government soldiers when they show up knocking on your door because you commented on a pro-freedom site from the convoy.
Yeah.
I've actually seen that happen.
Yep.
You see that video where the cop showed up to show her how to protest?
Yes. I was appalled, and this is how they're supposed to take an oath. I believe your police officers, just like they do here in the States, correct?
Well, see, that's where they do take an oath, but it depends on what police force and what province you're in and who you're swearing that oath to. Because only the province of Ontario police swear an oath to the Constitution. All the other provinces and the RCMP swear an oath to the Crown.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
So okay. I wasn't aware of that.
That's a big difference there too. So
that reminds me.
Do you all know that the Ottawa police force, before this all went down, they fought for the right to say no to vaccines and won in the courts?
And the whole Ottawa or
and now they're going to stand trial over you?
Yeah. The Ontario Police Services Union, they managed to get out of being mandated to get that vaccine,
But
yet
they want to stand up for Trudeau for you to get it.
Yes, and
Wow.
everybody else, all these city workers, all these garbage men, the snowplow removal guys, all these people that are working for the city right now, at least here in this city, if they don't have that passport, they're not working for this city. Period. They're not even getting into City Hall, and I proved that. So
Yeah.
There's
that's
a
how
guy
bad
that
it is.
lied.
So where's
right
the 1,800 newly sworn officers coming from?
What
Are-
about
are-
did
Are they going to
you
be
guys
mandated or
happen?
not?
Did you guys happen to see the latest video on one of Justin Trudeau's personal security detail that quit?
Yep.
No, I didn't see that one.
Oh man,
I missed it.
I wish I could
Almost
remember it
uploaded
right
that.
now.
Almost did.
But yeah, he there's like a 7-8 minute video out there, and like this guy, he quit working for Justin Trudeau because of what's going on right now.
Is that on your Shane Canadian? Is that on your page?
No, I haven't been able to do anything with that. I was just watching it just before I came here, and then I closed out all the tabs by accident.
Yeah.
And I
Well,
can't
you
remember
guys-
what tab it was on, or
I'm sure Tiffany will find it or what's true.
what you guys were talking about earlier is a scary precedent. Somebody showing up at your door just because you're on a website, right? I mean,
Facebook,
the same
Facebook
thing.
group.
Yeah, the same thing happened here in the U.S. It was a 1A video. I can't remember. It might have been High Desert Community where somebody showed up it was an FBI agent actually that showed up at his door wanting to inquire about why he was at
Oh yes,
yeah.
yeah. I remember that too. I
And
remember
he handled it
watching
really good. Like, if you ain't got to worry, get the fuck off my property, right? Get out of
Yeah.
here.
But
basically.
see, here's the thing: nobody's commenting on these pages or on these sites with their address. They're not saying,
Right.
"Here I am." They have their anonymity when they use a screen name, but it doesn't stop the government from knowing exactly what you're doing, how you're doing, when you're doing, where you're doing, who you're doing it with.
Right.
Yep.
Right. I mean, that's exactly right. I mean, it's funny that you mentioned that, Ellie. Like one time I was out with KDOT in Aurora, right? Everybody knows I go down one street when I do my runs, right? Colfax Avenue,
Yep.
right? It's the longest continuous commercial street in the United States. It runs about, I think it's like 22 miles straight, right? There's no breaks, right? So you can go from the foothills all the way to almost the Eastern Plains just using Colfax, right? So I was in Aurora with KDOT. We were covering a stabbing, and the sergeant, all right, I've never been. Let me get something very clear. I've never been arrested. I don't have a criminal record. I think in my lifetime I can count on one hand how many tickets I've had, right? So, and I'm pretty old, but the sergeant there went up to KDOT and was like, "Oh, hey, Mister So and So," and I was like, "I mean, okay, KDOT's been arrested a couple of times. That's probably, they probably know him from the arrest, right?" He turned to me and he was like, "Oh, and you're Mister So and So," and I'm like, "How the fuck did you know that?" I was like, "You just doxed me on my live stream." So yeah, it's very scary what the government can do to get your information. It's really fucking crazy, and it shouldn't be that way. You should be able to go out in public and be completely anonymous if you want to.
I shared a post the other day about the Ontario government and police talking about they're checking people's phones, they're taking down license plates, they're going to start arresting people and charging them with mischief. You can get up to $100,000 fine and 2 years in jail. They are going absolutely nuts, violating our rights, searching our telephones and everything. And I was shocked that they admitted it to us all. But they're going to start taking the truck drivers' commercial licenses. That's what they're threatening to do next.
Yeah, I'd
Well,
like to see them do that because then, I mean, as the trucks go, so does the country. So let's Let's see what you got, big boy. Let's see you suffer.
And
Well,
can I,
they already have your phone number and everything,
well, and that's what I
and the
wanted to
thing,
correct MLH with. It's not
yeah,
what they do out in public. These are things that people are doing within their own home,
Right. And
online within their own home, searching,
compound.
making comments of support, and they're knocking at their door. It's not
Right.
like they're
Notice,
even going out. You don't have to leave your house.
Yeah. Let
Ellie,
me
I
well,
didn't take no photographs of that journalist's license plate, but he sure got photographs of mine, didn't he?
Yes,
Oh,
he
right,
did.
right.
Yes, he did. And if you think he's not going to help give that information to somebody,
Oh,
you
That's
know
right.
he is.
I
They
mean,
already
you're
have it.
right, of course. I
I'm
want to
I'm
acknowledge.
excited. I'm excited about being on the evening news, but not excited about, you know what I mean?
Being doxxed. Yeah, yeah. Let
Well,
me
because they're going
acknowledge.
to say, here's this tyrannical freedom supposed fighter who is against his country and he's a traitor. That's how they're going to portray you.
I want to
Exactly.
acknowledge some people in chat here. My Happy Little Life is in chat. We got Noel Armisen, Harry Nova, P. Vacro, Polly Glocks. Thanks for joining. Noel Armisen, Rosie. Thanks for coming on in. Judd, Jen Wow, Matt D, Scooby Doo, Heather Holt, Farlap. Thank you for joining. Ron Seven. The topic today is the Canadian Convoys. Why are they protesting, and how does it relate to the 1A community? I've got some fine guests on panel. We have What's Truth, we have a Shame Canadian, we have Ellie, and we have Jody FJ, people that we all know and love in the community. And I'm trying to bridge the gap between the information that we get in the United States and the actual information straight from Canada and straight from the people on the front lines that know what they're talking about and know what they're doing when it comes to this type of stuff. I think it's an extremely important thing to get the proper information, whether or not you agree or disagree with vaccines. That's that's a whole different subject. But I think one thing we can all agree on: we love our freedom, and that's what these protests are all about.
And a special
and
shout out to Jim Busby. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh yeah.
and what the worst part of it is that if you look at these mandates that were handed down, there's medical exemptions in them,
Yes.
and I fall under that medical exemption under a couple of categories. But because of my medical exemption, no doctor will give me a card or that. There's no such thing as getting a card for a medical exemption or that. So that means that I still have to either abide by the rules out there or I get no service.
Yeah.
Like I'm not supposed to be wearing a mask, and I'm medically exempt because of my heart because of getting the vaccine. They told me it would not to get it. 3 different cardiologists. So it's not
Yeah.
just one doctor that's telling me this. It's 3
Right.
different doctors.
But let's be honest, why they said medical exemption, because then they would have had a revolt of everybody. So they had to make it look like, well, we're going to work with you, and some people might not be able to, when really you're shunned from society then.
Oh, absolutely. Because like I said, like I can't go to Tim Hortons to sit down and have a coffee and a donut with a friend to get out of this, minus 18 weather with the snow banks up to my armpits here that I've been showing, like what person in the right mind actually wants to sit out and talk to people when there's, a warm table there that you're paying for, it's a coffee shop, you should be able to do that. I should be able to walk into McDonald's and not have to show them my health information
Right. Right.
to be able
Yeah.
to sit down at a fucking table to eat their greasy food that will probably end up putting me in the hospital to
Right.
begin with.
No doubt. No doubt. Now, to the credit of a lot of businesses in Denver, I can't speak for the entirety of the United States, that like I've been in Walmart several times without a mask. I've been in several businesses around town without a mask, and I don't get any shit because it's kind of they leave it kind of up to the individual businesses, right? Like for instance, my girlfriend works at a high-end fast food joint, right? And I go in there, and they were told specifically, that we do have the mask mandates, but you're not to give anybody any hassle if they're not wearing a mask. So what really is the point of these mask mandates? It's control, right? It's fear. It's controlling the narrative of everything. So it's just really stupid, man. It's just
And if you look at these mask mandates and that, under what they say these mandates are, they say that you have to wear a face covering. It doesn't have to, stop any germs from spreading or anything. You have to put something over your face.
Because a piece of cloth will save you from the deadly virus.
But it's it's literally proven that I don't think there's a mask out there that stops it. These KN95 masks or that are probably about the only thing. And you would have to literally like seal them around your face. So, anybody, any person, any guy with facial hair, a beard or that, what are they going to do? Is put caulking all the way around in their beard and everything? It makes,
I can just imagine that, man. People using caulking to kind of caulk off their face so that no. But look, I understand the thought process behind mask, right? Themselves. I hate mask mandates. Let's not get anything twisted, right? It's to prevent like the droplets that are carrying the virus into the air. Like that's why the 6 foot social distancing. That I understand what they're trying to do. They're trying to mitigate the spread of any variant of coronavirus that you can possibly think of. But what the government is doing is taking advantage of that fear, right? I mean, like Ellie said, I mean, it's not going to stop a fucking virus. If you're going to get sick, you're going to get sick, right? I mean, you should choose to stay home, right? It's the same thing like when somebody says, "Oh, don't take my picture," right? Well, you're out in fucking public. If you don't want your picture taken, go home, draw the blinds, that way nobody can take your picture, right? But if you're out in public, you're going to take the risk. I mean, it's just the way that it is. So, I mean, I look, Fauci, right? Fauci's a dividing figure in himself, right? He says one thing, then he says something completely different, and it may or may not be based on what the science is saying at the moment, right? But he said something very interesting to me the other day. He said, by the end of the year, I think it's by the end of this year, everybody in the United States is going to have caught COVID. So if everybody undoubtedly with mask mandates or no mask mandates is going to catch this virus, why is the government mandating that we wear a mask, right? Let things play out. Lift up these fucking mandates and let it play out. If you want to
Okay.
get a shot, get a shot. You don't want to get a shot, don't get a shot. It's pretty simple.
There's a big problem with that, though. That if they actually allowed people to make up their own mind to take the shot or not take the shot and like not mandate it, stocks would go down.
Yeah.
Well, and if you stand up against getting the vaccine, a shame Canadian, well, what next are you going to question your government about? We can't have this.
We can't have it.
And people are bitching that, well, why did it take the truckers to do this? Why didn't anybody else? Or why are the truckers? Because nobody else would fucking stand up and take the balls to do it as a fucking group.
Yep.
And it took the truckers that, the people that are the lifeline of this country and our other, to the south of us, our brothers and sisters down there. It took the truckers to do this. And, if all you other union people out there, anybody that's listening, if you can go out and actually do something and support these guys, the faster this gets done, the faster our country can get back to healing.
Yeah.
And get back to normal society again, and people actually starting to make a living.
Yeah.
But until then, it's going to continue, and we just got to stop.
Yeah, let me say this, and then we're gonna go around the horn for final thoughts. I know that this virus is real. I'm sure everybody on the panel can agree 100% coronavirus is a thing, right? But
It is a thing.
at this point, either you've taken the vaccine or you haven't taken the vaccine. Whether or not you agree or disagree with the
Mhm.
vaccine is not the point, right?
Right.
The point is just what a shame Canadian said. Are we ever going to get back to normal? The answer is absolutely not, unless we can agree that freedom is the ultimate accomplishment here, right? So I don't want to hear that we're causing any more dissension that than there already is. All right, like I said, Fauci has announced that we're all going to get this fucking virus at some point. Right? Is the virus deadly? It can be, but it's based on a lot of factors. It's based on your health history. Like somebody like a shamed Canadian, I think you would agree. If you get this virus, it's not going to be a good thing for you, right? But that
Absolutely.
right.
Yeah. It'd be
Um,
like me catching pneumonia or something too. Like
right,
I'm not, it would not be good for me.
right, right. But that's pretty accepted clear across the board, right? Like
Yeah.
my ex-wife's grandfather died from the coronavirus, complications from coronavirus, right? But that doesn't mean that everybody has to live in fear. It's like somebody with predisposed conditions that get the flu virus, right? The flu. We have a readily available shot that everybody either takes or doesn't take every year,
Yeah.
right? And it's going to be the same thing with this coronavirus. It's time to get our heads out of our asses and stand up and say, we want the choice to do this or not to do this. All right. And that's what these Canadian convoyists are saying. Give us the chance to choose. Simple as that. It's not about, um, you know, you forcing us to do this. It's about us having the choice. And the time is now. And if you don't stand up for your rights now, like what's Truth was saying earlier, we're going to lose a lot of our freedoms, and we're not going to be a free country anymore. You might as well call us West Korea instead of the United States of America or Canada. I'm going to go around the horn here. Shame Canadian, your final thought.
Well, honestly, I just think that um, we need to keep supporting our truckers. Um, I don't know if you know this or not, but on March the 5th in Southern California, I believe it's in San Diego or something, they're starting a convoy there and going to DC. They're doing the same thing as what Canada's doing. This is not just a Canadian movement. This is not just a Canadian thing. This has gone worldwide now. And we need more people, more organizations standing up and fighting for their rights. If not, we're going to lose them
Yeah,
completely.
100. Jody FJ, your final thought. Do we lose Jody?
No, I'm here.
Okay, your final thought.
Final thought is this text message between me and my friend, it goes on and on and on. It was basically, I'm like, just because she brought up somebody was starting a fire in an Ottawa apartment or something like that. And she said, that's what the truckers did. I said, there's no
Oh,
proof. Show me proof to see if the truckers actually did this.
Yeah.
Then there was another thing she sent me. It was an opinion piece. I said, okay, where are the facts? So I'm just saying, there's a lot of sheep out there. Get facts first. Don't believe. I mean, this is an old song, but don't believe the hype. It fits perfect. But as far as masks go and Corona is real. I lost my lady friend to Corona. I had Corona. Um, I have antibodies. Every time I go for any kind of blood work, I check for antibodies, and I still have them after 2 years. So don't believe all the antibody people who say, oh, they only last 2 weeks. It's been 2 years for me. So, but anyway, keep going with the truckers. I hope they do good. I hope shit gets solved. It's going to be hard for you
Yeah.
have assholes setting the rules, and you have pawns trying to fight the rules. That's the problem. But like I say, whatever. Do what you can. Try. Think your own way. Don't think what you see on TV is gospel. Please don't
Right.
do that. Think
Great
your
point.
own way.
Great point.
And I used to go to Canada a lot, so I know how to speak Canadian. And yeah, but I'm back behind them 100%. Not a problem. Even though I did lose my lady friend to COVID, I get it. But it's still, to me, like everyone's saying, it's all control. I get it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they just need some kind of narrative. And that's what they're doing. They're making money off of the narratives and everything. But I'm talking too much. I'm going to go.
You're never talking too much, my friend. You're always welcome.
It's final
Thanks,
thoughts,
Judy.
bro. How do you say?
Ellie, your final thoughts, and then I'll get to you. What's truth?
Yeah, I'm glad he gets to go last because I really like hearing him speak, to be honest. Number one, I absolutely support the truckers 100. Think about it. None of us could survive without them because if you have a home, the truckers brought it. Okay, so now we need to stand behind them. I hope that the United States get their shit together. I want to thank every Canadian streamer that's out there, especially Tiffany, Epiphany, and What's Truth and Ashamed Canadian, the three of my most watched, even though I do try to watch all of them. And, people, please, it's okay to have a decision on whether you want to be, get the jab or to not get the jab. But understand, again, this is only about having the right to choose.
Right.
So, I'm hoping that the U.S. can get their shit together when it comes to D.C. And again, not for the channel owner, anybody in chat or in panel, but I really am looking for that milk carton with Trudeau and Biden's face. So if anybody finds one, please contact me through MLH. I am willing to pay for it.
Love it.
Because, and go truckers.
Yeah.
And thank you, MLH, for doing this panel.
What's truth? Your final thoughts.
I want to say, and this is coming from my heart, I feel like I'm on a panel with some genuine people here. Ashamed Canadian is a brother from way back. And I feel like, I'm quiet because I have much respect when I'm around Ashamed Canadian because I've seen the sacrifice that our friend has made, What's up, Tiff? What?
Tiffany's Epiphany, everybody. Making
Tiffany's
it
in the house.
Ellie, this
Yes.
is for you. I'm going to make you one of those milk cartons.
Oh, I love you too.
That's awesome.
Thank you, Tiff. Ashamed Canadian has been out there on the front lines. He has been tear gassed. I imagine he's been pepper sprayed. He knows. He's been at protests. He's out there, fellas, and he's getting older and his health problems. And I just want to say much respect to you, brother, because I know you're fighting, man, and I'm honored to be on a panel with you guys. And now I want to talk about the children in Canada, okay, for just 1 second. What I've seen, I grew up in a country that was so friendly towards the children. Everybody was so loving. If you had children, you were looked after, you were loved. The children were all loved, and we've come to a time in Canada in the last couple weeks with these protests where the opposite side is starting to treat the children like disgusting. They're giving my children the finger, and they're like speed. Like, we were at the protest today, guys, and I witnessed a lady speed up a little bit towards my children, stopped very abruptly, but sped up just a little bit to scare them because they were crossing the road at Tim Hortons. And so that's what this ultimately affects in Canada, folks, is our children. My children see this. I raised my children for 13 years, guys, trying to teach them to respect the police, trying to teach them to respect their elders, you know? And what they're witnessing is the cops arresting truckers, the people that bring us our food. They're firing nurses, the people that take best care of us here in Canada. The nurses are great here in Canada. What my children are witnessing is the opposite of what I've taught them. And I'm ashamed for that. But now they're seeing the truth and they're seeing us all stand up because this is such a respectful show. My children are watching every minute of it. I get choked up when I talk about the children because that's our future, guys. And that's what I want for America. And that's what I want for Canada. A bright future for all our children with just the choice to be able to choose whether or not to wear a mask, whether or not to take the jab. That's
Yeah.
all that we want in this
Yeah.
convoy.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
Thank you.
think that's a point that goes under the radar. It's about choice. It's not about control. And point well taken. What's truth? Any other final thoughts before we wrap it up here?
I just like to thank you for inviting me up here, and much respect as always, brother.
Yeah, for sure, man. No problem. I mean, it is my pleasure actually to have you guys. I mean, people who know my channel know that I very rarely do panels, but I will from time to time do them. I just don't like the drama, but that's not what this is. I did an invite only and type thing because I think this is an important subject that not a lot of 1A auditors are really taking notice and doing. And I hope that by doing this, I can make a good example, and people will talk about this more and more because it's something that's coming soon to the United States, and hopefully we can get behind the Canadian movement, just like we can get behind the movements that are going to take place here in the United States. And I hope it's not a Democrat Republican thing. I hope it's not a liberal conservative thing. I hope it's a people thing, and we all can get behind this, right? And it not be a divisive thing.
Can I add one thing on what you said in
Yes.
regards to the First Amendment auditors and, not doing the drama?
Yes.
Listen, guys, you really need to let the drama go. This should be the most important thing on every channel.
Yeah.
There's if you want to do the drama, there's time for that later, but there's not time to get your freedom back later. You
Right.
can't say 2 years from now, I wish I would have,
Right.
but you can curse somebody out later. Let's stand together, united, and let the BS go.
Yeah.
This has to be the forefront on everybody's mind right now. I don't know how else to communicate that except that this is serious.
Yeah. Yeah.
Amen.
This is probably the fight of our lives, and it's right under our noses, and not a lot of people are taking it seriously, and that's I think that's I'm very proud to bring this to people and make them understand that this is not some small matter. This is a huge matter that's going to affect us all, and we all should get behind it and understand that it's now or never. It's now or never on all of our channels because year 2, 5 years down the road, are we still going to have our channels? That's it's an interesting question that we all should really think about, and hopefully bring more you know more attention to the subject matter. So with that, I want to thank Shane Canadian, What's Truth, Ellie, Jody, everybody in chat. I think it was a constructive talk today, and I hope you bring this to your channels. And if you're a fan of another channel and it's a bigger channel, and you want to give them content, well, let them know about this Canadian Convoy and how they should be talking about it. Maybe have panels of their own. Again, I want to try to inspire people to do to do things. That's why I do the things that I do, and I hope this panel inspired at least a few people to get off their asses and become their own activist and support the happenings that are going on in Canada. Again, thank you very much to the panel. Thank you, everybody in chat. I've got. I usually play this special music on my other show as an outro, but I'm going to go ahead and do it here. Thanks again, everybody, for joining. Really appreciate it. I'll be back on the road most likely tomorrow because I mean today was just super snowy. The roads were super slick, and I mean it didn't work out. I had another panel to go to, but I hope that you guys will join me. Did you guys have anything you wanted to plug before we left? A Shame Canadian, plug your channel at the very least.
Well, recently I've put out probably almost a dozen videos over the last week. There's a video there that I have. It's called "Crying Like a Bitch." Justin Trudeau. It's a soundtrack from Godsmack song "Crying Like a Bitch," and I put a whole bunch of pictures to it of Justin Trudeau. So, but I did an audit yesterday that it's a little bit long. I think it's about 39 minutes long, but within the first 26 minutes of it, I ran into 4 Karens and had the cops called on me and watched them go by and everything, all within the first 26 minutes. But then they were following me, or the city trying to find me. But these are between that and, I got a few more videos that I'm working on right now about what's happening right now all across Canada. I'm just waiting for more updates on the one in Halifax. So there will be more coming out. So stay tuned. And I got a few interviews coming up. So I did one interview actually with the People's Party of Canada here, a guy by the name of Nick Pereira. He's from the St. John Ross constituents office. And I figured it was going to be a 20-minute interview. It's an hour and 45 minutes on a 5-hour live stream that's on my channel too. So you might want to go check that out. We asked the questions that mainstream media wouldn't ask, and they were answered. We were treated, I'm a small channel from Canada, and I was treated like, I'm a respected member of the press. I was treated with respect, and when I asked a question, all the questions were answered to the best of his ability. I thought it was great, lots of great content. So go check them out.
All right. What's truth? Do you have anything you want to plug before we leave these airwaves?
You can check me and my wife out at What's Truth and Tiffany's Epiphany. We are working overtime trying to get all the latest updates on all the different meetups and convoys that are happening all across the country, and especially in British Columbia. We are also completely up to date with the convoys that are taking off in America. The Super Bowl tomorrow is supposedly going to be protested by the truckers. We're looking forward to that. And I hear lots of news of different convoys across America starting to take off already. So that's what our channels are about now, and that's what we're covering. So yeah, just check us out there.
Highly recommend everybody check out Shame Canadian, What's True, Tiffany's Epiphany. Ellie, anything you want to say before we take off?
I just want to encourage everybody to watch Tiffany's panel. She's amazing. She gives a broad spectrum and includes other videos and links of lives for other channels that you can see, like Zots and I mean, so many, I can't even name them all. Same thing with What's Truth being out there. Doing the same, keeping us informed, speaking with us, listening. He's very involved with the channels, and I just have a mad respect for them. But a Shane Canadian is always going to have my heart as well, because he's been for years out there saying this, and people didn't take him seriously. And I'm really glad that people are starting to wake up, because they made jokes or think that, what he was saying wasn't it. And everything he said has come to pass. And, I just want to personally thank him for educating me in all of this. I'm not one that believes in borderlines. You guys are my family. I'm not going to let an imaginary line that a government put down to say that you're separate from me. So thanks for being in my family.
Very
Thank
well
you.
said, Ellie. We're all family here, all friends, and just want to say again, thanks to everybody out there. As far as my channel goes, the Mustachioed, I have intel on a lighter note, has a new target that he's going to be targeting very soon. I think I know who it is, but I don't want to spoil that. So be looking forward to that on the channel. So, anyways, thank you to everybody in the chat room. You guys are what makes this show go. I hope you guys all got informed and inspired. With that, this has been the MLH channel, and I hope you, if you guys haven't, if you're coming in late, make sure you watch the replay. It's super important. And with that, again, thanks to all the guests on the channel, and see you guys on the next one. Later, everybody.
Later.
Later, everybody in chat. Later. Say bye, Ellie.
Go home. Go see Tiffany's Epiphany, What's Truth, and Ashamed Canadian. Much love.
Later.